If you're watching this video, I need to tell you something. And it's really important. And I mean you. I've been a spiritual person for the last 5 years of my life. Years ago, I was given a secret recipe to success. That's what it was given off as. Something that's been on this planet for thousands of years that only a few people got to hear. I was lucky enough to get it. Well, God gave it to me, but I honestly believe right now, at this point, that heaven is real and that hell is real, which is a hard pill to swallow. And I'm usually a very positive guy, and I don't mean to be rude about it. Normally, I would say that religions like Christianity are just built-in programs, built-in a program to where you're convinced that through fear of everlasting damnation that you're not, that you would, follow it. AKA, you would live your life here on earth, waste it away as we continue our progress as a civilization, whatever. And that those people are just convinced that that's going to happen and therefore are not likely to get up, raise up and fight the establishment. That's how I used to see Christianity. I used to see Christianity as this thing where people were controlled and that because they believed they were going to die and go to heaven and was afraid to go to hell, that they wouldn't make waves. And that way the people in power would stay in power, and so on and so on. I've met Satan twice, at least. No doubt. Full force. The worst thing you can ever experience. And when I met him, I was doing what that secret recipe I mentioned was telling me to do, which is what I didn't realize it was really a guide to make you, whoever heard it and followed the instructions, a person who was willing to do whatever it took and followed their gut, their intuition, this inner way that God speaks to you. And God, who sees all, knows all, will sense that you are being teachable and a good vessel. You're being somebody who's willing to give up their own dreams and their own beliefs and willing to do whatever he says. I didn't know that's what it was doing to me, but that's what it did. And anyway, so I found myself driving from Missouri to New Mexico with a Muslim, a malignant narcissist who was a Muslim, and a heroin addict. The Muslim was a meth head, and he was a narcissist, as I just said. And on that journey, I knew what it was like to be in fear, to be in a car of puke and piss, and hearing screaming and agonizing pain for days, while a man threatened to stab the shit out of me if I didn't do what he said. It was horrifying. It was really, really horrifying. It was really, really horrifying. After the experience, it only was a few days. I wasn't the same. Still not the same, but for about a month straight, I just was so appreciative of not being in that car. It was horrible. I can't describe how horrible it was. It was so horrible. It's so far the worst thing I've ever experienced. Nothing came close. And on my journey to the mountains, I got to know what it felt like to feel that, which was hell. And then I got led down a path. It was a very interesting path, not to get too deep about that, but I was led down a path that led me to a certain place where I was told to bow, to get on my knees and put my hands on a cross, a grave. It was a gravestone. It was a cross. It was a Celtic cross. So, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I had to get on my knees and put my hands on this cross, on this gravestone, and bow down to this cross. And then after, it's a pure knowing, but I would look up at the stars and I knew that God and angels were watching me. They were watching me. I was filled with love. There's evil all around me. I could feel that, but I couldn't feel it because there was like a bubble of love protecting me. And I had my hands above my head in the freezing cold. I realize now I was paying for my sins. Yeah, like masturbating high on meth and doing all kinds of stupid shit. Yeah, I was burning the sin right out of my hands. Yeah, in the cold. I had 2 dogs come out of this house. It's actually really trippy because I was, like I said, I was following a path. When I was following this path, I saw a house, and I said, because I was getting downloads in my head, 707, and the thing that happened was I was looking at this house, and I said, "You want me to? Is this the house?" And the wind blew this like shutter, like something like this, and it hit the door. It knocked, and I was like, "Okay, so this is the house." I asked it 3 times, and every time I asked a question, it immediately went perfectly. This wind blew in complete response. It was sentient. You know what I mean by this. And these dogs came out. One of them was half wolf, half husky, so a husky looks like a wolf. So anyway, basically a wolf jumped out of this house and literally bit my dick. I mean, literally, its tip of its mouth went at my dick, but it didn't rip it off. It was about to, but I kept my hands above my head as I was guided to do. Freezing cold, hurt really, really bad. Very, 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 very painful. Very, 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 very painful. Most painful thing I've ever felt. It felt like fire and knives, like burning knives stabbing into my hands. It wasn't just normal cold pain. And yeah, I had my hands above my head, and I remember there was a moment where I had a fear crept in. I almost pulled my hands down. It was the only other time the 2 dogs that were barking and about to tear me up actually touched me again. It was like there was a bubble keeping them from ripping me to pieces, as long as I was still in a state of love and not in fear. Anyway, so there was a second there where I faltered. Then I went right back to have my hands above my head. I didn't falter again. And after that, long story short, a girl comes out with a gun, and I tell her I was guided here. She's like, "You're fucking crazy." And then I meet her son, and her son could tell that I went through some kind of experience and didn't really know what to make of it. So he ended up tying me. I had my hands tied behind my back. The cops came. They never pressed charges. The mom wanted to so bad, but the kid would just not. His name was Drew. He would not let me. He would not let him or his mom press charges on me. It was a whole battle, and I didn't care. Let me tell you something. The crazy horrors that I experienced was so traumatic that the threat of going to prison or getting shot or anything meant nothing. I couldn't care at all. Look at me. I couldn't care at all. I was so happy to be alive and not in pain for that few moments. It was so horrible. And it was very short. It didn't last long. This is a few days, and this experience up to this point was only like maybe 48 hours. There was a lot of hell leading up to it, but this was very short. So the cops came, they picked me up. A lot of other stuff happened, by the way. I'm just skipping a lot. The cops came, they picked me up, they dropped me off at a hotel, and I didn't have money for a hotel. It was still freezing cold, and I didn't care. And I saw Love's truck stop. He used to be a truck driver. And in my little walk through the mountains, what I forgot to mention was there was a moment where the moon, because this world isn't real, the moon made the shape of a heart shining down towards me. It was a full moon in Leo. And got to see this beautiful heart. So when I saw the Love's truck stop, I knew that's where I had to go. And so I walked towards it. And I got back. The Muslim who was driving my car, Alex, meant to be, happened to be there. The chances of him being there miles away. But, anyway. So he picks me up. And we drove off, and I got to see heaven on earth. I got to see beautiful skies, deepest colors. A lot of things happened. I almost don't want to tell you all of it because the more I tell you, the more you're actually more likely to not believe me. But I had to deal with Satan in the backseat of my car for another day straight. Ooh. Even in a place of pure nirvana. And that word, nirvana, yeah. The highest level of bliss you can achieve. Even when I was in that state of mind, the merest remembrance that Satan's behind me, or the moment my attention went back there, would kill it. And anyway, I guess I don't want to make this video too much longer, but I did want to post it. If there's even a slight chance that in the few years you have on this planet could actually decide your fate between living in heaven or hell for eternity, even though that might be really confusing and you don't have all the answers right now, I would try to have a relationship with God if I was you. And the reason why is, for one, I'm giving you my testimony that I've seen Satan a couple of times. That wasn't even the last time. I think he's trying to stop me, not because of just me, but because this story's good enough to actually save others. Anyway, and I don't want to put fear in your heart. I'm saying this out of a place of love that, to be honest with you, I'm so convinced right now of all that I'm actually sitting in a place of understanding, and I don't really hate anybody anymore. It's really weird. You would think I would still hate my mom or my dad. In fact, the more I look at life at this point, it's quite obvious that these things are probably like really, really true. I mean, angels are real. Felt that. Them knocking on the door through the wind. Or whoever knocked on through the door in the wind, I don't know. In fact, I put my hands down on a cross. I was guided to. I have 1,001 other stories about Jesus too since then. And the fact that I've seen Satan a couple of times. And also I have an experience where this, when I actually came back, I'll say this real quick. When I came back from that experience, I've got like a pimple right here, don't bother me. When I came back from that experience, I met a witch. Some chick whose heart was gone. And I remember there's a lot of stories I have with her, so I guess I'll just keep it simple. There was one time she sent me an audio message. And the audio message was like trying to get me to do something that she said for me to do, but I wouldn't do it. Because I understood, who do you listen to? You don't listen to evil. You can hear it, but you don't do what it says. And I'll never forget, I heard the sounds of hell in an audio message. It was her and her boyfriend, and South Park was playing in the background. So I don't know how to explain this, but I heard the sounds of hell in an audio message that she sent. The vibration of this person or whatever I was dealing with. Because like I said, this world ain't real. Whatever I was dealing with, I heard the sounds of hell. I replayed that audio like so many times. It didn't matter how many weeks went by. I could hear it. It scared me. So I don't want to put fear in your heart. Life's a beautiful place. I could be wrong, right? But I don't think I am. Like I said, Satan, oh yeah, he's real. His demons, oh yeah, they're real. God, definitely. Jesus himself, did I see his face? No. A lot of people have, though. And I see his name and his stuff, I don't know how else to word it, everywhere. And I hope I get back to my chipper, happy self. But to be honest with you, I guess I got too much empathy to care that I'm saved, if whatever. And, I just don't want to really believe that people die. And that they're burning in a dark place without water, where things tear your flesh. And yeah, I think the thing for me is I've been watching testimonies of people that have gone to hell and came back. They died and came back to life, and their testimonies are so surreal, so vivid, not like a dream. They're there, fully conscious. Add that to the fact that I personally have seen Satan twice and have dealt with his demons, his kids, whatever, over and over again. It's pretty safe to assume that there's some big truth going on here. And not to put fear as the reason for you to develop a relationship with God, but you are there, you're standing there. Look around at the beauty in life. Recently, I was hating Jesus. I mean, I was screaming at him just now. I was like, how could you allow this shit to happen? And that's going to take a little bit of research and understanding. I mean, I got the spiel of it watching some videos, but like I said, I know what pure love feels like. I just find it interesting that I literally had a journey through hell, not real hell, here on earth. It was like a taste. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Most fucking depressing video ever. It's so not my style. Apparently, it doesn't matter if you're a good person. It really does matter if you believe that Jesus actually existed and died for you. And apparently, anyway, just think about what I said. Maybe talk to God. You'd be surprised. He answers. Love you.